positive we would not sell one single copy of besides the family, friends, aunts, and uncles and stuff. We never thought we'd sell a single copy of the first issue, and the fact that we are here 30 years later is because you guys found something you love in the Turtles, and you followed it for all this time, and it means the world to me. You've given me the greatest job in the world, and I sincerely thank you. Thank you.
Randall, in trying to put all of this, together, to have to dig through the 30 years of history, what made you even want to do such a crazy thing?
It was the crazy guy to my left right now. So, here's how that happened. Before the Turtle Doc, Mark Hussey and I worked together doing more, documentaries about, no joke, Cambodian landmine victims, Mr. Akira who demines mines in Cambodia with a shovel, docs like that. And it wasn't, on our radar necessarily to do a pop culture doc, but we're pop culture fans. We worked on another project with Isaac. He approached us and he said, got a great idea. And he said, I want to do a documentary on TMNT. And I said, no. And Mark said, yes. And the reason why I said no was because I had heard that Kevin Eastman is the meanest. No,
it's all true.
The reason why I said no is I thought it's probably a huge project and has a ton of rights issues, but it was true, by the way. But then, as we got into it, Isaac's enthusiasm and his ability to drag us into water deeper than we can swim forces us to tread and then climb up to the surface. And then, honestly, the reality is, this guy made it possible, and Peter Laird made it possible by being supportive and by being kind and by saying to us, tell you what, here's everything. And it was amazing. Couldn't have done it without Kevin and Peter. That's the reality.
And Peter Laird.
And just to say, not only were they so kind to us, before we met Kevin, he said, yeah, you can stay at my place in LA. He had a house for sale, and he said, you can just camp there. And so we did. We literally camped in his place. And nobody would do that, and I recommend that you don't ask him. I'm not saying that's a great way to meet him.
I figured, how dangerous could Canadians be, really?
But it's true. I think he immediately knew that we were good guys and that we wanted to tell the story the right way. We made it very clear we didn't want to tell a bad story. We didn't want to tell an ugly story. We wanted to tell an awesome story, and I hope we did that.
You have a pretty epic toy collection that I just got to see. Did that have any sort of, help in your decision that you wanted to make this happen?
Yeah, I know that I have a smaller toy collection than some people in this room. I know that for a fact. But no, toys, for me, the toys, I think, was really the first thing that caught my attention as a kid. And so it carried that interest all the way through when I was collecting toys in college. I was collecting a lot of different stuff. And I wanted to get into the history of where these toys came from. As many of you here, you got drawn in by the design, by the look, by the feel, by the mystique, the backstory. And I wanted to know where these came from, what's the backstory. And I found that there wasn't a lot. Kevin had done an awesome book, the Arto biography, if I remember correctly. And that was more or less it, in terms of history written down stuff. So I said, you know what? It would be really cool to see a doc like this, but it'd be really even cooler to work on one. And I thought I could just get somebody coffee or something. And then we ended up making it. So it was pretty awesome.
How many years? 5 years?
5.5 years.
5.5 years.
It was.
He had hair when we first met him.
I did. I did.
And I was a woman.
That's right.
And Galen, having worked on the last TMNT animated film and getting to work on the new one, how cool is it to see, that growth from these characters that were just a comic book 30 years ago, cartoon, we had a few movies, and now we're all of a sudden this huge, big production of Turtles?
You guys hear me okay? It's such an amazing trip just to be part of this franchise, and someone like Kevin, who's such a great guy, and Peter. Back in 2003, when we went out to see Peter and talked with Kevin and got to make the animated movie, nobody thought it would happen. Everybody said it's over. And then we made the animated movie, and then we talked about making another movie, and everybody said it's over, no, it'll happen. And then, here comes Viacom, and Turtles launch on Nick, and then boom, we're at Paramount. but it won't happen. And I met Randall and the guys at 2009 at the Empire State Building, and they told me about this great dock, and we had lit up, it was the 25th anniversary, and they lit the tower green, and they sent me the dock, and I was just blown away. They had stuff in this dock I'd never even seen. I couldn't believe what they got. I couldn't believe they had footage of it, and I couldn't believe they got clearance for all this stuff. And not to mention, I want to say one thing, which is the most important. Documentaries are very, very hard to make, and they're very hard to get people to want you to make them and get people to distribute them, which was my sole job, just trying to get this thing out there for you guys. That's all I did. These guys worked and never stopped working, and never stopped traveling on their own money, their own feet, their own dreams, and pushed this thing and made it amazing. And my hat is off to these guys up here, because they killed it.